I would say that that would be a very bad move, and the Sierra Leoneans I've spoken to do not support it. Of course, we know that it has to pass to Parliament, and you need it because it's an entrenched clause. You need 2/3 majority, and you need a referendum. We know that everything can happen, but that would be a terrible move. And probably, as an anecdote, I should recall what the Aswa President Tijan Kaba said to the TRC. He said that any person who calls for removal of term limits should be charged with treason. Of course, we know that that is not treason, but what he was saying was to say, look, don't even try it. That is how serious he took it. And therefore, I think we should all realize that there were reasons why those limits were put in place, and that going back would just defeat the democratic gains that that country has achieved.
Thank you, Dr. Cole. You've given a very good analysis of the situation and an outlook on how things will look like to the rest of the world, and not just for us in Sierra Leone, but to the rest of Africa and to the rest of the international community, which is not. It would not be good for our nation to revert back to things like that. Having given such a background in with your knowledge of the legal profession, you being a legal mind, a scholar and an expert, I would definitely say in this case, what would be your recommendation in terms of the perceived constitutional review that will be up and coming, and also with regards to, I know you already made mention of the issue about the extension of term limits, but what would be your recommendation for about the way forward for Sierra Leone so we could preserve our the state as it is and give citizens that peace of mind that we're moving in the right direction? What would be your recommendation?
Well, first of all, the constitutional review gives states an opportunity to rethink, to refine, to review their present dispensation. Countries, probably after 10, after 20 years, go through such a process. Of course, we know on the other hand that there are dangers in such a process, in that you have opportunity to reverse democratic gains. So I would say that such a process brings opportunities for social change, opportunities to strengthen the situations or the social mix that we have. You look at the present state of affairs. If we were to have probably constitutional reforms, and you ask me what recommendations I would have, the things that immediately come to mind would be probably the section on socio-economic rights. It is not a justiciable right under our constitution. It is mentioned as a state policy. The reason why states usually do not put social and economic rights as justiciable, that is rights which someone can go to court and say, I'm being deprived of my right to water or my right to health, which is social and economic rights, and therefore I demand it from the state. The reason why we have states not embedding them as justiciable rights is because it is argued that they are very expensive, that everybody will come and say, I have a right to water, I have a right to housing, and therefore it's not affordable. But we should note that the states that have those provisions have couched them in such a way that they cannot be abused, and that there is a measure in which the court can determine whether or not such rights should be made available to such people. So I would want to I would love to see that entrenched as a justiciable right, and I am wary in the face of governments that usually say, no, we don't have the resources. Well, as I said, the resources should not be a problem. we have boundless resources, but as I said, the courts are usually able to manage such situations. We have problems like rights of women. Review would give us an opportunity to embed such rights of children. I know we have a statute, but one would love to see such rights in the Constitution. Also, the rights to education. One would also want to see probably a reorganization to some extent of the judiciary, wherein probably we could have a constitutional court where every citizen could have direct access to. I know that for now, yes, the Constitution provides for access to the Supreme Court, direct access to the Supreme Court in relation to violation of human rights. One would want to see probably a constitutional court with specifically lawyers or judicial minds who are specifically trained in constitutional matters, constitutionalists, and where access is direct and access is very easy. For now, I think the courts are very remote from the people. If you look at countries like India, the Supreme Court of India, all you need to do is to write a letter clearly stating your situation, and the court will entertain it. The court will look at it. One would also love to see probably strengthening of institutions of state and bring them under the Constitution and probably have more independence. Finally, probably one would also love to see the interpretation of our laws a bit different, in that the court should be enjoined, encouraged, or permitted to use international law, to have international law influence the decision of the courts, because with that we would be able to measure our laws and bring them up to scratch and bring them up to minimum principles of international law, which I think we have a deficit in so far. Thank you, Leslie.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Cole, for your insight into this matter and for giving our audience a clear perspective about this whole constitutional issue that is at the tip of every Salonian song these days. Thank you very much for the interview, and I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors out there.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Voices from the Diaspora. Once again, we bring you an interview from esteemed Sierra Leonean. Tonight, I shall be interviewing Abdul Tijan Cole, the Executive Director of Open Society Initiative for West Africa, OSIWA. Abdul Tijan Cole is well known to many of you. We have him here today to talk about OSIWA and some of the work that he does. Mr. Tijan Cole, would you like to say hello to our listeners, please?
Hello, listeners.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you tell us about your work with OSIWA, Mr. Tijan Cole?
OSIWA is the Open Society Initiative for West Africa, and it has its headquarters based in Dakar, Senegal, and OSIWA works in 9 countries in West Africa, and it was set up as far back as the year 2000, and it largely seeks to promote open society values in West Africa. It's part of a network of open society foundations that exist all over the world, and the headquarters for all the open society foundations are in New York, but open society foundations exist not only in the United States but also in Europe, in Latin America, in Asia as well. And in Africa there are 4 foundations: the Open Society Foundation for South Africa, the Open Society Initiative for Southern Africa, the Open Society Initiative for Eastern Africa, and then the Open Society Initiative for West Africa.
Fantastic. What you mentioned that you are present in 9 countries in West Africa at the moment. Can you just name a few of them, or all of them?
Yes, the 9 countries that we work in West Africa. Senegal, of course, where we are based. We work in Guinea-Conakry. We work in Benin. We work in Côte d'Ivoire and in Niger, as well as in Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ghana, and Nigeria. So these are the 9 focus countries that OSIWA targets seeks to promote open society in West Africa.
And are you likely to expand at all?
Yes, one of the things we're contemplating seriously in doing is really expanding to additional countries such as Mali. You all know recent events in Mali make it almost necessary for us to add Mali as a focus country, but we're also looking at other potential countries, and again, budget permitting, we would see if we would add a few other countries. We've had requests from colleagues from Burkina Faso, we've had requests from colleagues from the Gambia who have expressed to us that the urgent need to address open society issues in those countries. And these are all countries under consideration. But Mali, I think we are really keen on getting engaged in Mali and seeing how best we can help rebuild Mali after the crisis in the past couple of months.
Thank you for that. You mentioned the values of OSIWA. What are they?
I mean, OSIWA, what we are seeking to do is, as I said, promote open society values. And open society values are broad, they're wide. They include democratic governance, transparent and accountable institutions, and active participation of citizens in the governance of their respective countries. For us as a foundation in West Africa, we have 3 very broad goals. One outcome that we seek is strong governance institutions, processes and structures that are transparent, accountable, and intolerant of impunity. We are seeking to strengthen governance institutions, particularly government, quasi-government institutions, so as to make those institutions much, much stronger, much more transparent, and they are open to, they don't allow themselves to be used for acts of impunity. Second objective is to build the capacity of civil society organizations within the sub-region and to increase the role, the participation of citizens in the decision-making process of our respective governments. We feel that in an open society it is paramount that citizens participate in the governance of their respective countries, and the more citizens participate in governance, the better the society is. And the third broad outcome is the robust protection of fundamental human rights and protection for citizens who are exposed to discrimination. All across West Africa, there's a major challenge of citizenship. Who is a citizen of a particular country? It's an issue that always rears its ugly head when it comes to election time. But we believe that issues of citizenship, issues of minority rights, and protection of fundamental human rights are key issues that need to be addressed in any open society foundation. So these are the 3 broad objectives that we seek to do. In terms of program, we have 3 main program areas: political governance, economic governance, and law, justice, and human rights. In fact, we see ourselves largely as a governance foundation, and a foundation that seeks to work on the governance of politics, the governance of the economy, and the governance of law, justice, and human rights. For our political governance unit, the focus is largely on